Okay, we're going to continue on Chapter 1, Lesson 4, and we are actually on page 4 and 43. Okay, and we're going to take a look at some of these problems as we get through just some more examples. So, page 43 in your book, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, number 1. Also, guys, these ones that have the houses on them, those are really good for you to do just as a practice before you even go on to your homework. So if it's something that I have not done but you would like to give it a try, those are really good practice problems because those are ones that are going to be very similar to ones that you might see on like a quiz or a test. There's my little bit of a hint. All right, to make 5 apple pies, you need about 2 pounds of apples. How many pounds of apples do you need to make 20 apple pies? So take a look at my table that is set up right here, okay? Number of pies is 5, okay? Number of pounds of apples that you need is 2. So 5 apples, or I'm sorry, for 5 apple pies, you have to have 2 pounds. But I want to know how many we need for 20. So notice I left some room to work right in here so that we could do some scaling back, or we might just have to do a couple of different groups, okay? Or we could possibly just jump right into it because, let's think about this. How do I get from 5 to 20? That's easy. I know I can multiply by 4. If I multiply that by 4, can't I just take my 2 and multiply that by 4? Sure can. So 2 times 4 is 8. So how many pounds do I need of apples? I need 8 pounds of apples. Okay, you have to make sure that you also have a label. If you don't have a label, you will miss points. Okay, on a quiz, you will miss points. It's like, I usually count it as 1 full point. So you get a point for the answer and a point for the label. Always have a label on it. Okay, next one. 4 balls of wool will make 8 knitted caps. How many balls of wool will Malcolm need if he wants to make 6 caps? Now take a look. Here's my balls of wool. I need 4. And that's going to make me 8 caps. But I want to know how many I need for 6. So when I look at this, here's the problem that I'm running into. I look at this and I go, ooh, how do I get from 8 to 6? I love that bell. This is when I know that I'm going to have to scale back to scale forward. Okay? When I look at 8 and 4, I know that there's a couple of different ways that I could go about doing this. I could maybe first divide each of these by 4. Yeah, let's try that. I can divide each of these by 4 because whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Okay, so 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. Perfect, okay? Perfect. We're on a roll, right? We actually got this down to almost a unit rate, didn't we? Because for 2 caps, I need 1 ball of wool. Okay, so now can I get from 2 to 6? Yes, I know that I can multiply that by 3. So if I multiply the bottom by 3, I'm going to multiply the top by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So my answer would be I need 3 balls of wool. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this next one. Before leaving to visit Mexico, Levant traded 270 American dollars and received 3,000 Mexican pesos. When he returned to Mexico, he had 100 pesos left. How much money will he receive when he exchanges these pesos for dollars? So, American dollars, 270, Mexican pesos, 3,000. Now, here's the really cool thing about working with zeros, okay? Because you're like, oh my gosh, these numbers are so big. Okay, they're not that big, okay? If I take 270 and 3,000, what happens if I drop off a 0? Well, then if I kind of ignore this 0, I see that I have like 27 and 300. I'm thinking I could possibly, well, I know that I could maybe divide each of these by 10, first of all, right? Because I just dropped off a 0. So I know that I can start off by dividing each of these by 10. So let's see what happens if I divide each of them by 10. 270 divided by 10. See, I just gave you the answer. I do that all the time. You guys are going to realize I do that all the time. Okay. 3,000 divided by 10 is 300. That's what we just did over here because they each had a 0 in the ones place value, so we were able to cut that off, which is the same thing as dividing by 10. Okay, I'm taking away a power 10. Okay, so now how do I get from 300 to 100? Oh, well, that's easy. Those are easy numbers to deal with. I'm going to divide each of those by 3. Now, because we divided by 3, we have to make sure that the number at top is divisible by 3. So if we divide 27 divided by 3, we know that that is 9. So we have $9 left. And actually, you just put that dollar sign there. That counts as a label. Okay, so crazy. He went with $270 and only came back with $9. Sounds like my kind of vacation. He spent all of his money. Right? I mean, as you should. Okay. This one we're going to fill in. On a bike trip across the United States, Rodney noticed that he covered about 190 miles. 190 miles biked for every 4 days. If he continues this rate, use a ratio table to determine how many miles he could get in 6 days. Okay, so notice that I have it lined up with my 6. Can I get from 4 to 6? By multiplying or dividing by a whole number? No. So I have got to scale back to scale forward. So knowing what I know about 190 and 4, I know that I can divide each of those by 2. Sure. You want to start there? Let's try that. What happens if we divide each of these by 2? So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, now half of 190. So half of 200 is 100. So then half of 10 is 5. So what do you think? 95? See how I can do that? Okay, so you'll get there. You'll get there. You'll be able to do that. Okay, it's good if we just start kind of talking like that, because then eventually that makes you get to being able to do a lot of that mentally in your head. Okay, so now I am at 2, and how do I get to 6? I multiply by 3. 95 times 3, so 95 times 3. 9 times 5 is 15. 27, 28, that gives me 285. So in 6 days, he is going to go 285 miles. Okay, so there's some extra practice for you. You should be ready to go now. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or let me know.